This is Shaz from Shaz It Up a Bit, or Sharon Richardson. What I've got today is the mask that is user-friendly for the ears. Now, I've sewn a couple of these pieces together already, but I'll show you what I've actually done here. Now, with your pieces, when you're cutting them on the mats, you will have 4 of these. I've actually got 8 here. But you have 4 of these, the actual mask pieces, the main mask. You'll have a filter, one of these that you'll cut out. And then what you'll do is you will sew it on the outside here, on this round part here, and just across there. And that will be your filter that will go inside the mask. You'll also need your 10 centimeters of Velcro. You'll also need roughly a 10 centimeter piece of 0.8 boning. That's a dress boning. And you'll also need a 14 centimeter pieces of a soft elastic. I know that there are plenty of elastics out there, but the one that I use is the birch, and it is a flat braid elastic. It's 6 millimeters wide, and you can buy this at Spotlight. And then you'll also need some binding to go around the edge. Now, if you don't have the binding, you can do a very small seam and then, you know, right side to right side, and then do what we call bagging it out. So you can do a very fine seam around the edges. It does make your mask smaller by doing that, but if you can get yourself some bias binding, I'll show you how to use that. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to just sew one of these together. Now, when you're using your pieces, you will use these little pieces here. Now, they were on the mat 1 as well, or mat 2 I think it was, because we had writing on the mat 1. So we've got those pieces there. I'm just going to put those aside. And the first thing I did with the mask was to sew those small pieces together, these pieces here. Oh, sorry, for your bias binding, you'll probably need about 1.40 meters to go around the whole mask. Now with these pieces here, I then sewed them back to back, as in a pattern side and more of a plain side together, pattern side and a plain side together. Now the sides that you will stitch are the straight sides, so along here and along here, same on the other one, along here and along here. And so they will then become your pocket to put your filter inside your mask. That's upside down. So that will go in there like that, and that will hold your filter in there on one side, and it will hold your filter in there on the other side, and that's what you'll have inside the mask itself. And then you can just simply make more of these, cut more of these. That's why I said at least 4 on one mat you can fit, stitching that area down the bottom, and then you can replace these. So this is like a throwaway, if you will. I mean, you can wash it if you want to, I guess. I'm not sure whether it'll fall apart or not. But this is what you call Enviro Cloth, and it is available at Spotlight. It's around about, I don't know, between $2 and $4.50, I think, a meter, depending on, I think, the color that you buy. And you can buy some of it online as well. It comes in different colors. So that's what you put on the inside of the mask, so that it is a filter for the mask that you're making. Okay, so now just take that out. And these pieces here then become these pieces here, which are the pocket. All right, so I'm just going to sew those together first. And also when you're sewing, if you want to use pins, you can use pins. For those that you know, seasoned sewers, they may not need to use pins at all. I'm a fairly seasoned sewer, so I don't use pins very often. But if you do, you can place your pins horizontal this way to hold it together. If you do it this way, then your machine will run straight over the top of them. And I've got a feeling that I'm going to be running out of cotton soon, because I've nearly used a whole bobbin of this purple already. So you see it can just run straight over the top. I'm hoping that you can see this. So once you get the first bit done, then you go on to the second one. And then these ones are going to be used inside, as I said, on the pockets. So then pop those on. Right. Okay. Then what you do, I've got my little mini easy press here, which I love having next to my sewing machine. It's just a great little press there, because what I do then is I'll use my mini press and I will then lift up that seam allowance there, just that little bit there, and then I can come along like so. I can then iron that flat like that. Then when I turn it in on the right side, I've actually got nice flat seams that I can work with. And the same with this one. I'll just run it along so that that part stays flat, the other part opens up, and rather than having them so that they're, you know, one on the other, I'll do the same to the other piece as well. Just open up the little seam allowance flat there. Nails are good for that, by the way. So I don't know, but it just beats having a huge iron, working with a big iron, having to leave your sewing machine to go from one thing to another. It makes the process, I believe, just that much easier, that much quicker by doing this. This mask probably takes a little bit longer than what the others are, but I think the longevity that you can have with it is really good, because once you've made the mask, then all you do is replace the filters that go inside, and it's a very comfortable mask to wear because the elastic that goes on it doesn't actually hurt your ears. So now that I've got that like so, I can then come along and just give it a little bit of a press that way, and then my seams will be nice and flat to work with. Just pop that down on there like so. All right, so there's one half of the filter pocket, and just bringing this into the right way, bagging. This is called bagging out, you know, when you have pieces that are wrong side to right side to right side, sewing them together, and then wrong side to wrong side, bringing it in. So just folding that down like so, giving it a press, folding it around the other way, and folding that down so it's nice and flat, and giving that a press like so. And then what I'll do is those pieces there, I'll then put those aside up here somewhere. Then I get my pieces for the actual mask itself, and also right side to right side for each of the pieces. So I've got the rose pattern on this one, and I've got like a, I don't know, it's a sort of variegated swirly sort of thing on the other one. And what I'm going to do is just sew those around on the curve to both of them, using about 1/2 centimetre for my seam allowance again. Same again. And going all the way around. Yeah, these are what I call the, these are the fats that you buy at, fabric fats that you buy for quilting at Spotlight. And even when you cut a 12 by 12 on the mat, you can cut a piece down 12 by 12 and put it on your mat. You've actually got enough left over that you could then cut one out by hand if you choose to. And you can see from this one, I don't know whether you can see it or not, but there is the blue line there from the fabric pen, the Cricut fabric pen. So I've used that as well to mark this out. And that was with the scrap that was left over from the fabric fat. So in the end, I got 2 masks out of the same piece. And I think you can get like, sometimes Spotlight have them on sale for like $10. Other times they're, you know, a couple of dollars each. So you can buy those as well. And just give that right down onto your piece. And then I'll just clip those apart. And then I just get my iron, same thing again. Well, my iron, my easy press, mini easy press that is. And I'm just going to separate those once again. In fact, it's easier if I do it the way that I was doing it before. Just drop something here, make sure I've got the top off my unpicker. I've got my easy press here, but I've got my Cricut unpicker hanging off my lanyard as well. Now, if you just do this, I mean, this has got a little ridge along here where the base plate is, and it's just perfect for going around on your little seams like this. For the sewers, if you haven't got an easy press mini, I'd suggest that you get one, because you don't have to leave your sewing machine. As you can see, that presses that down really nicely. And then when I turn it in the other way, this one is then going to come back this way when I turn it in. So it's a great little, I just can't tell you enough about it, because it's such a handy little thing to have here sitting at the sewing machine. And get yourself one of the, if you don't have a heat mat, get yourself a Cricut heat mat. They're also available at Spotlight. Sounds like I'm doing an ad for Spotlight, doesn't it? But yeah, they are. They're available at Spotlight. You can get a small pad. I just don't have a small one, because I've got the medium size and the large one. If I had a small one, I'd probably be using it here as well. All right, with the Easy Press Mini. So I'm giving that, you can see how that presses that out really nicely. And if you can't get it to sit flat, then you can use the corner of the mat to pop it on. I know that you can't see that very well, but you can always use the corner, this area here. So you can always use your corner of your pressing mat and press that down so that it's nice and flat. I know Some people just put them side to side. I like to have them so that they're flat in the middle, because I think that the mask actually sits better when you've got them nice and flat in the middle. And then of course you can come in from the other side. I usually use this at the corner like so, because they're sitting flat. You can then come around and you can press around the edges. Okay, so there you have it. It's nice and flat now like that. Okay, and do the same for the other side, for the other piece. Just coming along the edge here. All right, so once you've got those done, then what you do, and I guess you could do this beforehand, I'm going to have this as my right side going out. I'm going to have this as my, this is a self fabric, which means it's on the outside that people see. And this one here will be my lining. Okay, now the curve at the top there is the part that goes underneath your ear. This part up the top then becomes across your nose, and that will tuck underneath your chin. All right, so because this is the inside, I'm then going to get my little pieces that I did earlier and trim them off. You've got the seam allowance there. Trim that off like so. Right, and then this piece will then sit on top of this piece here like so. The curve to curve, curve to curve, curve to curve. And then you've got your straight side, the smaller side, facing your tabs going to the back. And then your straight side will come towards the middle of the mask, the front of the mask. So then all you do is you stitch along here, around the curve and around the curve. You don't have to stitch that down, but you can. You can stitch that down there. I generally do. And then come around here like that. So you do that to each side of the inside mask. Okay, and then it goes underneath the machine. And you just want to stitch it very close to the edge, not like right off the edge, but very close to the edge. I've probably got about, I don't know, a couple of millimeters in. Yeah, I figured that this was a good way to hold your filter in without it sort of flopping around on the inside. Put those two pieces in there like so. I'm going to edit this video so that it's not too long. Okay, so we have that like that, and we have that one like that. So the next thing to do would be to then sew these two together so that we've got the right sides on the outside and the wrong sides facing the inside, so that we've got them like this. All right, now we do have our elastic, and we're going to put that in as we're sewing this around. And we are going to bind this area here before we do the rest of it. Okay, so our elastic is going to go over here and over here, and we're going to bind this part first. So we're just going to put this together around, we've got our curves there, just these two, one on either side. And we're just going to sew those two together so that we can then do our binding on those. We also need to prepare our boning. So we're just going to sew these two little curves together, like so. And then again here. Now, it's starting to look like something with those two pieces together. So what we're going to do is now do our binding, and we're just going to do it on that inside piece there, where that's creased a little bit. I'm just going to get the Easy Press Mini and run that over that so that it doesn't make it harder to sew. Now, if you don't have a binding foot, which I did have one, an older one, but I've had to since order another one for this machine, then you can certainly do this by hand, and I'm going to show you how you do this. First of all, you get your bias binding, and you're just going to split that apart like that. And you're going to need roughly about 10 centimeters or so for each of these. And you just put that edge to edge like that. And you just want to do it so that it's inside that fold line there when you're sewing. So let me come from this end, because you'll be able to see it better. And I'm doing this from the, I wanted to actually do it from the wrong side of the mask to the right side of the mask. So yeah, I like it to come down on the front, and it's nice and crisp. So I'm just going to put this on the edge like so. You can pin it if you like, you know, put a pin across it like that to hold it together. You can see that the other fold of the bias binding is further down there, and this is on my wrong side. So the lining side is the side that this is on. Then that's going to fold over and be on the front side, so we can top stitch it down. Okay, so I'm just going to put this around the edge. Now, if you do have a bias binding foot, then you can just whiz around it and it will do it all in one go. But because I don't have mine yet, it's due to come on Friday, and today is Tuesday, I'll be able to do it a lot quicker than doing it in 2 steps like I'm doing now. Right, so you just get your bias binding and your mask underneath, and just pull your mask out straight. Foot has a line of its own going off. Okay, so right, then I'll get the other side, same again. I do have another pattern for another mask that isn't anywhere near as complicated as this one, but for the time that it takes you to do this, you only have to do it once for yourself if you're wearing it or if you're making it for somebody. And showing you how to put it together always takes longer than what it does if you're just doing it yourself. And if you're a seasoned sewer, then you shouldn't have a problem putting this together. But if you're not a seasoned sewer, then maybe you can find somebody that can sew this together for you. Right, so I've got those two there, and then all I do is let that go, and then that one just folds so neatly over the top, and it's already sewn on the other side. And try and keep it flat if you can, so that it's right side to wrong side. And then that should do it nice and flat on the other side. I haven't cut this apart yet, and I'm not sort of stretching it out either. I'm just letting that just fall where it wants to go. And then I just sew along the edge of the binding, just like it would if you were using the foot. So there's our earpieces. This bit goes underneath your ear, and then we have elastic that comes out this way around here. Now, if you don't want to use elastic, you can use the binding that goes all the way around like so. You can use that as well. But with me, I like to use the elastic, which will then come through, and the elastic will go in here like so, round there like that. All right. And then actually put that this way and put it through the binding as well on the end. You can put that on the ends, and then you can bind all the way around this. All right. So it's starting to resemble a mask. Now with your boning, this area, this here, I would suggest that you put some sort of fabric on either end so that we don't get those plastic bits coming through. So I'd suggest that we cut those little bits off, work the corners around a little bit so that they're not sharp on the ends. Don't know if you can see that, but I've just trimmed the corners off. And trim that corner off as well, like so. And then you can use a little bit of binding on that if you want to, or you can use a piece of fabric just to go over the end. And that can then go on the, usually people use bias binding right on the end of that so that they cover up that area there. All right, so just going to trim that down. Right, so you put that on the end of the boning like that, and the same on the other side. Then this is going to be the nose piece that goes across the nose. And with boning, it is washable, so it does not lose any of the rigidity of it, but it also doesn't rust. So when you're putting wire into the masks, when you wash them, you have the danger of it going rusty, which then isn't really a good look on your mask either. All right, so you've got your boning now with binding on either end, like so, and then that piece is going to go on top, inside, on this area here in the middle. So then what I do is I find the middle that I've got on my binding, and in inches terms, it's just under 4 inches, which I'm not sure what that is in centimetres. I have to come back around here to have a look. Yeah, it's about 10 centimetres. So what I suggest is that you mark the middle. And I need to get a pin. Okay, so mark the middle of your piece of boning. I've got a Cricut fabric pen here that I use. Okay, so I've marked the middle. Yeah, you're going to have to put it. Okay, here's your boning. I've marked the middle. Okay, and I want to put that just slightly lower than what I normally would have it. Okay, so you're going to then leave your seam allowance, which is up here, that's going to go underneath your binding. All right, so I'm then going to use that piece of bone, bring it back down around here, and start from this end. Okay, so I'm going to pop that underneath my, right, So this is the inside of the mask. That's the outside of the mask. Just there. So you want to just sell it right like that. Okay. The next thing to do is to then stitch those around here, like so. Ready to put our binding on the other side, and we're going to put our Velcro one on one side, on the underside of one side and on the right side of the other. So one on the lining side and one on the outside, so that we've got our Velcro closure. Okay. Now, when it comes to your elastic here, these two pieces, this has to go along there like that. Now, I would stitch that on this side, on the underside here. Just stitch that along the edge there, like so. And then the same again on this one here, stitch that along the edge there. Because you're going to, and you can see that there, but that's okay because it's already on the inside of the binding. But by doing it this way, then when you put the binding on there and then fold it over, you're going to find that it's a neat finish. All right, so that'll come up like so, and that'll come up like so. All right, so I'm now going to stitch it all the way around on the mask itself. So I'm going to just stitch these together. And make sure fact I can use the elastic and start that there on this area here already. And that can go, make it nice and tight. And quite close to the edge, because you're going to then put your binding on top. This is a lovely mask when it's finished. It's very, very comfortable to wear. And it is fully washable. And as I said to you before, it's the filters that you use that you can then make as many of them as you like with the Enviro cloth. I guess you could call this a sustainable mask because it is one that you can use all the time. And you know, people will be using the masks all the time, but will they be disposing of them properly? I'm not sure. Because I've already seen them, you know, in the streets and down drains and all that kind of thing. Put my elastic on. So we've got this here, like so. All right, this is our inside of our mask. This is our outside of our mask. So our binding is going to go around the edge, and that bit goes around your ear. We're going to put our Velcro on next, and then we're going to bind the final mask, right, and then it'll be good to wear. Right, so get my binding next. Now, you can put your Velcro on first if you like. I suggest that when you're putting it on, you want to round your edges off a bit. I mean, just the person who's wearing this has to wear this, but, you know, whether they're just getting out of the car going into a shop or whether they're wearing it at work or where they're wearing it. But they're going to be having it on for quite a while, so you want it to be comfortable. All right, so the rounded pieces, these two pieces are the pieces that go up to on the edge of the tabs. Now, this is your mask that you'd wear this way like so. And it's either that side or that side, whichever side you feel comfortable on. But I would put this one, the one with the teeth on it, I would put that one to the outside. So it's on the self fabric, what we call self fabric. So it's going to go on here like so. And then the softer one would go on the inside for the lining side. All right. So you can then simply sew that onto there like so. Okay, so our Velcro pieces are on. And then all that's left to do is to bind the edge. Like we did before, to put the binding on the wrong side first, this side, where your filter goes in here. I'll just show you. Remembering that you stitch this area around here for the filter, and then it is the fold side, this side here, that goes up towards the nose. Now, after you've got your binding on, then you can shape this boning by pressing it in, folding it in like so, and then you can work it so that you can get it exactly where you want it to go. So the filter then just sits in there, right inside. Those little pieces go in the flap, and it just sits in there like so. It's not a pocket that goes right over the top, because I wanted this part to be either washed or disposable, this Enviro cloth, okay? It's this mask will be very sustainable for whoever wears it, okay? I know somebody who's going to be wearing it very shortly, but it just means that it's environmentally friendly and it's a very comfortable mask to wear, and that you're not actually breathing on this cotton piece, you're breathing on this piece here, all right? So just going to bind that and then we'll come back to you, all right? Right, so now we have our mask all done. Just put those bits in between. Yep. This binding, but I think if you can get yourself a bias binding foot that matches your machine. I know that Spotlight has them. I've ordered one, but it won't be here till Friday. So I've still got a couple more days to wait. Here's the mask, and then you'll have it. All right, so that one will fold into that one like so. And it'll be nice and neat. And these parts will go over the ears. So let me see if I can demo this. It's going to be very ear friendly. You can see that there. So goes over the ears there. This goes over the back of your hair, or underneath your hair, and of course your filter will then go in the inside like that. It'll tuck in like so, like that, and then that goes over the top, and that goes up there, and the ears elastic goes around your ears. And even if you're wearing glasses like I am, see it's nice and flat there. It doesn't hurt your ears. All right, so that's the mask, and I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. And this is Shaz from Shaz It Up a Bit, coming to you from Melbourne, Victoria, where we're inundated with this COVID-19 at the moment. So I'd like you to get yourself sewing, make yourself a mask, and stay safe out there. Okay, thank you.